Installing a subpanel, particularly when the main panel is located remotely, such as in a basement while the subpanel is on the third floor, necessitates careful adherence to electrical codes. A key question arises: is it necessary to include a main breaker on the subpanel itself? The answer is yes. It is generally required to include a main breaker in the subpanel. The National Electrical Code, specifically Section 225.31a, addresses this requirement. This section states that every separately derived system or branch circuit that is ungrounded or grounded at more than one point shall be provided with a readily accessible disconnecting means. This code provision directly applies to subpanels. A subpanel is essentially a separately derived system from the main electrical panel. The main breaker in the subpanel serves several critical purposes. Firstly, it provides a single point of disconnect for the entire subpanel. This is immensely useful for maintenance and repairs. Instead of having to run to the main panel, potentially located in a distant part of the building, you can simply switch off the main breaker in the subpanel to energize all the circuits connected to it. This convenience significantly reduces the time and effort required for electrical work. Secondly, the main breaker provides overcurrent protection for the subpanel circuits. It acts as a safety net, interrupting the flow of electricity in case of overloads or short circuits. This prevents damage to the wiring and connected devices, and, more importantly, it minimizes the risk of electrical fires. Without a main breaker in the subpanel, a fault in one of the subpanel circuits could potentially draw excessive current from the main panel, potentially overloading the circuit and creating a hazardous situation. When selecting the main breaker for the subpanel, it's important to match its amperage rating to the breaker in the main panel that feeds the subpanel. For example, if the breaker in the main panel is rated at 60 amps, the main breaker in the subpanel should also be rated at 60 amps. This ensures that the subpanel is adequately protected without exceeding the capacity of the feeder circuit. In addition to the main breaker, a subpanel installation requires a suitable neutral bar and grounding system. The neutral bar is where the neutral wires from the circuits in the subpanel are connected. It provides a common return path for the electrical current. The grounding system, on the other hand, is designed to provide a lower resistance path to ground in case of a fault. This helps to quickly trip the breaker, minimizing the risk of electrical shock. Proper grounding is essential for electrical safety and is a critical component of any electrical installation. The subpanel itself should be securely attached to a wall or other structural support. This ensures that it is stable and protected from accidental damage. It also prevents the wires from being strained or pulled, which could lead to loose connections or even electrical hazards. It's important to use appropriate fasteners and mounting hardware to securely attach the subpanel to the wall. While it may be tempting to tackle the subpanel installation, it is highly recommended to use a licensed electrician. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it's essential to have the knowledge and experience to do it safely and correctly. A licensed electrician will be familiar with all applicable codes and standards, and they will ensure that the subpanel is installed in compliance with these regulations. They will also be able to properly size the wires and breakers, and they will make sure that the grounding system is properly installed. In summary, including a main breaker in the subpanel provides increased safety and convenience. Firstly, the main breaker allows for a single point of disconnect. Secondly, the main breaker reduces the risk of electrical hazards. Thirdly, the main breaker facilitates easier troubleshooting and maintenance. Fourthly, it ensures compliance with NEC requirements. When installing a subpanel, several things should be taken into consideration. Firstly, the size of the subpanel depends on the load you plan to connect to it. If you only plan to connect a few small appliances, a small subpanel with a few circuits may be sufficient. However, if you plan to connect a larger load, such as an air conditioner or electric heater, you will need a larger subpanel with more circuits. Secondly, the location of the subpanel should be carefully considered. It should be located in a dry, accessible area that is not subject to extreme temperatures or humidity. It should also be located close to the load it will be serving to minimize voltage drop. Thirdly, the wiring between the main panel and the subpanel should be properly sized to handle the load. The wire size should be based on the amperage rating of the breaker in the main panel that feeds the subpanel. It's also important to use the correct type of wire for the application. Fourthly, the grounding system should be properly installed. This includes connecting the grounding wire from the main panel to the grounding bar in the subpanel and connecting all of the metal enclosures to the grounding system. Fifthly, all of the connections in the subpanel should be tight and secure. Loose connections can cause overheating and electrical hazards. It's important to use the proper tools and techniques to make sure that all of the connections are properly tightened. Sixthly, all of the breakers in the subpanel should be properly labeled. This makes it easier to identify the circuits and to troubleshoot any problems. It's also a good idea to keep a record of the circuit assignments in a safe place. Seventhly, after the subpanel has been installed, it should be inspected by a qualified electrician. This will help to ensure that it has been installed correctly and that it is safe to operate. The electrician will also be able to identify any potential problems and recommend any necessary repairs. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, is a set of standards for safe electrical installation. It is updated every 3 years and it covers a wide range of topics, including wiring methods, overcurrent protection, grounding, and equipment installation. The NEC is not a law, but it is widely adopted by states and local municipalities. It is important to be familiar with the NEC when installing a subpanel. Understanding these code requirements and best practices will ensure a safer and more compliant electrical system. Remember to always prioritize safety and consult with a qualified electrician when dealing with electrical installations.